Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, elementary, middle, and high school age. Today I am really excited because I just got some things from Cultivate What Matters that I ordered. I ordered the PowerSheets. I ordered the new weekly season by season planner. I ordered this Fresh Start daily goal planner. I'm really excited to get through all of this stuff with you. I think that this is going to be 3 videos. Originally, I was just going to do one big video, but with the amount of talking that I tend to do, I realized that's not a smart choice. Now, I do have some other things that I will be referring to. I did not buy the 90-day PowerSheets this time around, the new iteration. I do not think there are too many changes to the 90-day PowerSheets. I will let you know what those are, but I kind of wanted to do a comparison with the 90-day PowerSheets and the Fresh Start daily goal planner. So I will have that. And then I also have the PowerSheets, which you will notice I got the purple crocus color. I have the last 4 years of PowerSheets. I've been getting PowerSheets since 2015. My other planners are actually packed away at the moment, but I do have the ones that I've used over the past several years. I did not use the 2023 PowerSheets, but I do have them here so that I can do a comparison with last year's and potentially share some of the other ones as well. You will notice that I typically get whatever the greenish color is. That is what I've been getting for quite a while when they offered different color options. So I have the PowerSheets. That is what this video is going to be about. And then I also got the new weekly season by season planner. I have the daily season by season for 2023 here, so that I can kind of do a little bit of a comparison. Obviously the weekly, this is the first year that they've had that. So it's going to be a lot of showing you this year's stuff and also going through what has been available in the past and doing a little bit of a compare and contrast so that you can figure out what system will work best for you for 2024. That's crazy to me. So I am going to get started with opening up the new PowerSheets. I'm a little nervous. I have stayed away from all of the spoilers and little snippets of information that have come out. I was even on the affiliate call last week, and I muted when they went through all the changes for the PowerSheets. And the reason that I did that was because I wanted to come in and give you an authentic review, because I did not use the PowerSheets this past year, but I do love the PowerSheets system for goal setting. So let's look at the new PowerSheets. So the first thing you will notice is it does come in this box with this sleeve representing the color that you got on your PowerSheets. I got the crocus, which is so out of character for me. It really is. I am much more a green person, and they do have a green option this year. I really liked it quite a bit, but I did not get it. It is called Jade. So let's open up the box and see. It's a nice sturdy box that you can keep anything in. There's a little purple sticker here. And then this is the new Crocus PowerSheets for 2024. It does feel just a little bit bigger this year, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm really pleased about. They streamlined the 2023 version so much, and that is one of the main reasons that I did not use it last year. I still use a lot of the tools and I still use a lot of the information from Goal School, but I like a lot of space to write things down. So this is my goal notebook for this year, and I have written about 79 pages in here, and we have just a couple months left to go, and I will do some reflection in here as well. So it does look like the coil is bigger. It is a gold coil, but it is a little bit bigger. It's actually quite a bit bigger if I'm really looking at it. I think this might be maybe 1/2 inch, and this might be 3/4 of an inch. So let's get into the PowerSheets. All right, so you are going to open it up and you will see a little pocket right here on the inside with their blooms design. I'm not sure if it's called blooms. I think that's what it's called. There is a word of the year card, so that I'm happy to see. It's beautiful gold foiling accents as well. There is, let's see, 2024 season by season. It gives you some holidays. And then you do have this little sticker sheet, which is very pretty with some gold foil accents. Bloom where you're planted, change is possible, cultivate what matters, it's okay to grow slow, little steps add up, some grateful stickers, and then these stickers I'm assuming are the color coding stickers. That's going to be a little interesting. I'm actually going to grab my color coding sticker book that I bought with their July release just to see the difference. It also says celebrate, this matters, remember, my priority. So you have a couple of dot color coordinating stickers and then the flags. So let me grab those stickers. Okay, these are definitely a little bit different. Not completely different. Like this green matches this green matches this green, but the blue and the purple are different on the dot side. Okay. Yeah, so it's only, this is the color coding sticker book. So I'm interested to see, I did not get another sticker book, but it is just a little funny that these two colors are different than these two colors. But overall, still very pretty colors. And then I do have goal setting sticker books that they've released in the past. I did not get one for this year because I had purchased this color coding sticker book, which is really what I need the most. And I have matching pens that I will use as well. So this is available also. So I will leave a link for that in the description box. In fact, anything that I'm talking about today, I will leave a link for in the description box. So that you can see it. Everything releases on October 4th for the PowerSheets. The season by season planner, which I will review in a different video, is already available. So it does have this hard cardstock piece of paper that kind of just protects this front page. It says PowerSheets 2024 Intentional Goal Planner. There's some very pretty floral designs, very muted, peachy, tan, neutral colors. The greens are a little more subdued, but there is a gold foil accent as well. This cultivated year belongs to, and then you move into your fresh start begins here. And over on this side, they talk about what their mission is for Cultivate What Matters. Something that really makes the PowerSheets unique is the prep work that they have in the goal planner itself. I know that there are definitely other goal planners out there that incorporate prep work and have different systems on how to set goals, but prep work, I did not really understand prep work until I started using the PowerSheets back in 2015. So the prep work is a chance for you to really reflect on the previous year and also go deep into what you want your life to be and what progress you want to commit to for the coming year. I love it, and that's part of the reason that I am using a notebook this year, because I spend a lot of time reflecting and really digging deep and trying to figure out exactly what is most important, what are the things that I want to do, what are the steps involved in getting to that point. So I find so much value in the prep work. It says, welcome to a whole new way of doing life, uncover what matters, break it down, live it out. And there's a little bit more information here, kind of going through. I'm not going to obviously read through everything, but there is so much good in here. You will notice over on the side that they do have the colorful tabs again, which they had taken away for the 2023 version, and they instead were using the neutral tabs. So I'm really happy to see that the colorful tabs are back, and even the colors when you first start are brighter, which I really appreciate. I miss the bright colors in the 2023 version, so I'm really interested to see how this turns out. So this says come alive again. What do you want to cultivate in the year ahead? What are you passionate about? Whether you need to reignite your spark or find it for the first time, you're in the right place. What you're willing to sacrifice for your career, your faith, your family, your health, your legacy, your loved ones. There is just some blank space down here. And then they started incorporating last year these core truths. And these are sayings from Cultivate What Matters that they really find value in and help you to set goals. So this says naming what matters changes everything. And then you have a name what fires you up section. And in last year's PowerSheets, this was pages 8 and 9, and they may have adjusted some of the prep work. I'm not sure. It started out last year with the core truth, brainstorm your year ahead, break free from distractions, name what's holding you back. So name what fires you up to uncover your unique passions. There's some dot grid space, there's some blank space. And what I really appreciate is that there are a lot of examples throughout the prep work. I know when I first started using PowerSheets, some of the questions I just did not know. And I have been setting goals. I've been writing about goals on my website, Townsend House, since 2011. And before that on my other blog, from way long ago that I started back in 2006. I have always shared yearly goals. I love goal setting, but some of the prep work, it really made me think differently about how I set up goals. And so I do appreciate having the examples in here. The next section is learn from the past. Goal setting is usually about looking forward, but there are rewards waiting for you in the past. Good things, challenges, lessons, and gratitude. It gives you some ideas about what those things are. This is something that I think is so valuable to evaluate your previous year and really figure out how your year went as a whole. What were the good things? What were the challenges? What were the lessons? What were you thankful for? What progress did you make? Now, for me personally, this is not enough space. I know that not everybody loves a lot of space, and I'm sure I will say that several times throughout this video, but I like to write a lot. I will bullet a lot of things. I will make paragraphs. I will put tons of information in here, and I will just write and write and write and write. It helps me to get everything out before I start a new year. And I think that that's very valuable. I mean, you can think of it as journaling. I do have guided sections, but overall, this is very, very important to me. And I think I do this pretty much seasonally anyways, especially with homeschool planning and with my homeschool and my home management goals and personal goals. I think that it's really valuable to see what you've done, what you've succeeded with, and where you need to make adjustments. Sometimes it's easier to make adjustments, monthly or quarterly than just looking at the year as a whole. So this is a wonderful section. The next section is evaluate where you are now. In the garden, a key to growth is healthy soil. It's the same with growing good things in our lives. At the start of this new season, check in on each area of your life. What has been growing well? What might need more nourishment or attention? And then they have 7 sections this year, which is definitely different than what they have had in the past. In the past, they have had 8 sections. So let's take a look. Now, for me personally, I don't necessarily use these to set my goals. I do have some goals within these areas, but I also have some different categories, which I think it's wonderful that they have included a blank space so that you can put your own category here. I think that is incredibly valuable. I know that you shouldn't set like a ton of goals, but I almost wish that they had a couple of blank spaces. So the categories that they have are community, family, finances, health and wellness, home and spaces, spiritual and personal growth, work and learning, and then a blank space. It says we've left one category blank for you. Fill in an area of your unique life you'd like to focus on in the year ahead. So for me, that would most likely be homeschool. Even though this says learning, I would not put homeschool in the work. Maybe I ought to put homeschool in the work category. Maybe that would be a good place for it. So your categories from previous years are community, family, finances, fun and recreation, health and wellness, home and spaces, spiritual and personal growth, and work and learning. So they removed the fun and recreation section. And I think that is really interesting because if you saw my fall refresh video, I know this is getting into a little more personal stuff and not necessarily the review of the PowerSheets. I talked a lot about how I have not really focused on hobbies, and all of my goals this year had a second part to them. For example, my first goal, create and implement a clear home management system. That was the first part of my goal. The second part, that allows me time to pursue my passions. And I realized that I had not really addressed the second part. Now that I have these systems in place, I do have a little bit of extra time that I can work on more hobby-related things or things that I enjoy a lot. So it is just a little bit different. So this whole section, you will go in and you will give yourself a rating on how you feel you're doing in that section. And there's a little bit of space to jot down some ideas, perhaps write some things that went well and some that weren't going that great for the previous year, so you can kind of have a starting point. Now, does it mean that if you have a 10 in one category and a 1 in another that you have to set goals using those ratings? No. I mean, for example, even though I feel like I have a good spiritual walk and I've done a lot of growth in my faith over the past many, many years, that is an area of life that I don't think you ever fully complete a goal. You're always growing. Now, there may be projects within that goal, like reading through the Bible chronologically, that has like a start and an end. But I find that most of the goal setting that I do is always with a growth mindset. It's always wanting to make some progress. I do like to use these sections to kind of give myself the grade, how I feel like I'm doing in these different areas, but I don't necessarily set one goal in each of these areas. Some I will have several goals, some I will have 0 goals. So that's just kind of how I do goal setting. I love this turquoise color at the top. I'm really pleased with the brighter colors. The next section is cultivate your mindset. Have you ever felt like too much or not enough? What you believe about yourself, your life, and the people around you shapes how you spend your time and the goals you achieve. What has shaped your beliefs about your identity? And then there are some suggestions, comparing yourself to others, social media, what others have said about you, your childhood or your parents, your faith, past performance, your spouse or partner. There's a blank space, and then there's a little bit more space that you could jot down some other ideas or things that you want to know. Core truth, change is possible. I know that I'm not reading all of the core truths, but I will touch on some of them. Then the next section is upgrade your mindset to grow confidence in who you are. And instead of having the negative belief about yourself, how can you turn that and reframe it into a positive mindset? So I really like this section. I like that they give you examples. I'm not a huge fan of the peachy colors. That is not my jam. I much prefer these bright colors, but I think that this whole section is very valuable. So last year, these sections did have lines, which I appreciate because this kind of feels like a list section. I would prefer to have the lines rather than the blank space. It gives you a few more options when it's blank instead of lined, so you can kind of have different categories if you want, but I do appreciate the lines from last year. Then you're going to move into the Name What Matters section. When you've named what matters, you can set goals that act as a compass, pointing you toward a vision and helping you live it out today. What will have mattered, what won't have mattered, and then make decisions, what I'm saying yes to and what I'm saying no to. I think a yes and no list is so incredibly valuable. I love a yes and no list. It It's important. And I do one every year. In fact, I do them typically twice a year, once at the beginning of the homeschool year and then once at the beginning of the calendar year for goals in general. And the homeschool one is more for my homeschool, what I'm saying yes and no to. So last year they did have the same section, but they gave you maybe just a little bit more space on the what will have mattered and what won't have mattered. Again, with aligned columns instead of the blank space here. And then they had a separate section on the yes and no list. So it looks like they have combined some things and expanded some things. Then you have this beautiful quote page, dreams become decisions when you cultivate them, and they have this my most purposeful year. And this is a section that they actually had taken out from last year. It's kind of like a Mad Libs. A couple of years ago, they had this in here with page numbers to reference some of the prep work that you've done. They do not have page numbers here, but they do have some good questions. My name is, I dream of being, I'm deciding that I can, I want to make what matters happen because the parts of my life that need to be cultivated the most are, in order to do this, I'm letting go of, I will live this by saying yes to and saying no to, I will surround myself with less and with less blank and fill my life with more blank. I will do this little by little and with leaps of faith along the way. My definition of success, I'll start living my vision for this year by focusing on what matters, which is, and my little by little is adding up to a legacy of. Today is the day I begin. Then you move into the choose your focus. And a couple of years ago in 2022, it was the first year that they sort of categorized the goals as big dreams, finish lines, and habits. So big dreams are goals without deadlines. They help you become the person you want to be. I think big dreams probably are a lot of my type goals. They're always growing. There's always something new that can be done. Finish lines have a shorter time horizon, are specific and measurable. To achieve these goals, you'll define and follow action steps toward a clear endpoint. Something like reading the Bible chronologically, that would be a finish line goal. And then habits are repetitive behaviors or actions that establish rhythms in your life and create consistency. And there's some examples for each one of these. And then they also say that there's more examples on page 21. They do have a habit workbook that they came out with in the July release. And I have a full review and walkthrough of it. I do not have it right handy to show you, but I definitely recommend that habit workbook. There is so much great information on creating rhythms and habits, and I can't wait to go through that in December to come up with some of my own rhythms and habits for 2024. Then you're going to brainstorm your goals in the different areas. Now, this is kind of where it fell off for me last year because I don't necessarily use these areas to set my goals, like I said. Now, that's not to say I don't set goals in these areas, but I just need a little bit more space. I tend to have like a full page spread for each section of my life that I create goals in. And so I will have some things in some spots and some things in other spots, and some things I will not put in any of these categories. So, but this, I think that if you are struggling to figure out where you want to go, having these categories is very helpful. And then of course they give you a blank category. Now they do color code these for you. So you can either use the color coding that they have given you. So you will see the colors are also boxes around the different categories in the evaluate where you are now section. So this does give you a spot to start thinking about what you may want to work on within these different categories. And again, if you don't want to use these categories, that is totally okay. And the text is small enough that you could easily just white it out and write your own category, or maybe put a little sticker or a piece of washi tape and then write on the washi tape. Even if you're not setting goals in these sections, you can still use these pages. Then it says it's time to bloom where you're planted, and it says my yearly goals, and it says write your 2024 yearly goals here for reference. Research shows you are 42% more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down. Choose between 1 and 8 goals. I think that you can set goals however you want. You do not have to have 8 goals. You can have more than 8 goals. I know that there have been years where I have 8 goals within a specific category, but those particular goals are more short-term or much more focused into specific projects that I'm working on. You don't have to go that deep right here. It can just be, what is your overarching goal in a particular area? And again, you can have 8, you can have 3. It is totally up to you if you need more space. I think that they have these in Goal School that you can print out, and you can just tape another one right in here with it. Then you're going to move to this break it down section. And this starts to go through the goal action plans. It says on the goal action plan pages that follow, you'll have space to break down your yearly goals so that making progress is simple and straightforward. The power of the PowerSheets process comes from setting big picture goals and then, equally as important, breaking them down into simple, concrete, finish line goals and action steps. As you break your goals down, keep the Bloom acronym, our version of SMART goals, in mind. So I have not seen this section. I feel like I have seen it, but I don't think I've seen it in the PowerSheets in the past. It says break it down little by little, on purpose, on a schedule, measurable. So then it says break down your goals into specific actionable steps, make consistent progress on your goals by making them achievable little by little. On purpose, align your goals with who you want to be and what matters most to you so that you can spend your time with intention. And on a schedule, give your action steps and goals a due date. It's okay to grow slow, and it's also okay to have urgency around things that matter. Measurable, name an endpoint for your goal so that you know when you've accomplished it. So the on a schedule is a place that I definitely struggle. I do use the on a schedule within my tending list itself, within my monthly projects, weekly rhythms, daily habits. I definitely will put time limits around those things. But for my goals in general, like I said before, I am a much more big picture, just continue to make progress in these areas. That's kind of how I set goals. Bloom where you're planted by breaking your goals down. And then they have a couple of examples. So yearly goal, steward my finances well. Q1 finish line goal, complete a comprehensive review of my finances. I'm going to be going over a whole budget series next month, I think, that I have been asked about quite frequently, and I'm really excited for that. And so it gives you some steps to get to that finish line goal. Q2 finish line goal, make a budget and use a budget tracking system. Q3 habit goal, establish a regular rhythm of financial check-ins with my partner. Q4 finish line goal, build a relationship with a financial advisor. And then there's steps underneath. And then it also has a grow my friendships goal. I think that's really helpful. I know that sometimes it's very challenging to figure out what is the first step? What is the first step that I need to take in order to make progress? Sometimes our goals seem so big that it is really hard to break it down. And so I think this will be very helpful for people. So it does seem like maybe there's a little bit less space for the actual planning of the goals. Maybe there isn't. I know I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So this make a rough draft section is a place where I will take my colored pens and I will kind of draw lines and arrows and write out little lists of things within the different categories. They did not have that section in here. They just moved right into my yearly goals, or perhaps this brainstorm your goals is replacing the rough draft section. So I like a little less structure for the rough draft because, again, it just gives me another spot to just start writing down all of the things that are in my head. There's always a lot of things in my head. So this page, the break it down and the bloom where you're planted, this is telling you how to write your goal action plans. And then you're going to move into the actual goal action plan section. And this is different than last year. So it has goal action plan, break it down to get it done, and I believe they will have 8 of these. What I want, write out your yearly goal. Why are you motivated to achieve it? What I can do, resources needed, time, money, physical space, expertise or advice, emotional capacity, help from others. What does success look like for this goal at the end of 2024? What might get in the way of you making progress? How will you have fun with this goal along the way? Then it says area, and it gives you the 7 categories that they have for goal setting, as well as the blank space. Now you can use these or you don't have to, or you can fill in your own for each goal action plan. So you don't even have to use any of these spaces if you don't want, which I think is really good. This goal includes habits, finish lines, a big dream, what I will do, break your goal down, and then it has something for each season. So you can write some of the things that you want to do. So when you set a goal, you do not complete the goal in January. Well, sometimes you complete a large portion of the goal, but you have to remember when you're setting yearly goals that there are going to be parts of your goal that you do not even get to until the last quarter of the year. And that is absolutely 100% okay. And that's kind of why I like 90-day goal setting, seasonal goal refreshes, and that kind of stuff, because it gives you a chance to revisit your goal, adjust it, that kind of thing. And then down on the bottom here, it says what I did, mark your progress each season. And there are 4 bars down here. So for each season, for each quarter of the year, you can fill in how much you did to give you a representation of what you do over the full year. I have to apologize. My neighbor is mowing his lawn right now. So you probably hear the lawnmower, but that's okay. We're just going to keep going with it. Last year's goal action plans were similar, but just a little bit different. What I want, why you're motivated to achieve it, what I can do, same questions, areas this goal includes, and then it had blank space over here. So I think that it can just be a little bit different if you want it to be this way. And then in 2022, it was a little bit different as well with the goal action plans. In 2021, the goal action plans were even more different than what is here, because that is when they started doing the mini goals, which I really loved. And in fact, I still use the quarterly refresh mini goal pages that they have, the wildcard pages from Goal School. I love those for goal setting. I print out a bunch of these and I use them all the time. I like this type of an action plan where you write a mini goal within your big goal and then some steps and when you're going to accomplish those. That's really how I like to do the goal action plans, but this is very helpful as well. So you have 8 of these goal action plans, I believe. Yes, so you have 8 of the goal action plans, and then it gets to pace yourself for success. Just as in the garden, to everything there is a season. Focus on the first season, spread out your starts, consider your resources, dig in, and then it has a seasonal planner essentially with mapping out when you want to do certain projects, when you want to accomplish certain parts of your goal. I think that's very helpful because oftentimes, like I just said, we are trying to do all of the things at the beginning of the year. We have a lot of motivation when we start the year. It's a new calendar year. There's so much promise and opportunity. And so we try to fit in all of the things that first week in January. And what ends up happening is things fizzle out or you've overwhelmed yourself right at the beginning of the year. So taking the time to spread things out is very helpful. Choose one focus area for the first quarter and really work on that area. Last year or this year, I mainly was focusing on decluttering in the winter months, trying to reset our weekly rhythm, our monthly rhythm. We had a bunch of stuff that we had changed in our homeschool and such. So taking the time to map it out is very helpful. Then you're going to get to the make it easy to remember section. And this is where you're going to start brainstorming your word of the year. So this doesn't give you a ton of space to figure out what you want your word of the year to be. And in fact, I wish that this section was before writing out your goals, because I use that as a guide to filter my goals through. What are the things that I want to do, and how is that word going to guide me throughout the year and remind me of my goals? So I tend to figure out my word of the year first before I even start any of my prep work. I typically start thinking of words, or words start coming to me in the fall. They don't always, but typically I will choose a word in the fall. Words just start coming to me and I start jotting them down to think about and to see what are the changes that I want to make. This isn't a whole lot of space. So last year they still had just about the same amount of space for doing your word of the year research. Like I said, I start jotting down ideas in the fall and then I just choose a word. And then they have this visualize what's ahead section, which is your vision board for the year. I don't necessarily do a vision board in my PowerSheets. I never have. I like to use a larger piece of paper to do that. It does have a section in the new PowerSheets to also do a vision board, and I kind of like that it has space, like a 2-page spread, so that you could use both sides to create a vision board. I think if you're doing a vision board, sometimes you like to have a little bit more space, and a 2-page spread really does give that to you. Or you can use this for whatever you want. Again, I personally would put the visualize what's ahead and vision board creation maybe before the goal action plans, just so that you have already kind of, visualized what you want things to be like in the next year, and that helps guide you. Then there is this live it out section. You've uncovered what matters and you've begun to break it down into smaller goals, action steps, and habits to cultivate. Now it's time to live your cultivated year month by month, day by day. The monthly pages and the rest of your planner will guide you. Here's what to expect: monthly calendar pages, monthly planning pages, and the tending list. Core truth: any day can be a fresh start. That is accurate. Any day you can start. The past couple of months, I'm recording this in September, and this month and in August, I did not set up my goals for the month until I think August 6th and September 6th or September 7th. So any day is a great day to start. So don't let that hold you back. There is a little bit about how to make a tending list, review your goals, sort your action steps into monthly, weekly, or daily action items, simplify and focus, and then it has some reminders. You don't need to fill in every line. The goal isn't a perfectly checked off list. Put your tending list somewhere, you'll see it every day. Then you have this section, believe in little by little progress. Achieving our goals often requires changing our habits and behaviors, and that can be hard since many of them are unintentional because they're often performed with no conscious thought. Studies have suggested that as many as 40% of our actions each day are the product of habits, not choices. They can be hard to even name, and habits we can't name are hard to grow or change. That is incredibly accurate. It is very easy to fall into bad habits or bad rhythms where you're not able to grow, and it's challenging to see where you can make changes because it's so ingrained in you. You are automatically doing these things, and it really takes, I think that's why I spend so much time reflecting, so that I can recognize the different habits and choices that I have made and where I do actually want to see improvements. And being honest with yourself that way is sometimes it's very difficult, especially if you are unaware of those habits, which oftentimes we are. To really sit down and figure that out can be very challenging and convicting. And so I think that understanding that our brains automatically want to do what is the easiest thing, and sometimes that may not be productive or helpful to our lives or be the change that we desire. So recognizing those bad habits is helpful. So it says, good news, you don't have to have superhuman willpower or rely on motivation to succeed. The smartest goal setters use research-backed strategies to implement new habits and complete action steps with ease. Again, I want to recommend that habit workbook, especially if you have some daily habits or seasonal habits that you want to focus on. That is going to be a huge help for you. Make a specific plan for when and where you'll perform an action or habit. Stack your new habit. I love habit stacking. If you've read Atomic Habits by James Clear, it is so good. I definitely recommend it. Make the best choice the most obvious, grow in community, set a timer. And then it has this new section, this routines reset. Decision fatigue is the enemy of good decisions. Now, I know that in previous PowerSheets, they have had information about decision fatigue. This is something that I have gone over at length in my membership community, trying to make rhythms and habits so that you do not have to make so many decisions day to day. The decision making of moms and homeschool moms, it's so much, and it can be incredibly challenging to constantly have to make decisions. So setting yourself up, like with doing the yes and no list, you've already pre-made the decision so you don't have to think about it when you're going through that particular season of life. You've already said yes to some things and no to others, so you don't have to think about it. I think that's incredibly helpful. So they have morning routine, evening routine, weekend reset routine. I love this. There is a blank space. I would call this monthly reset, which I do every month at the end of the month. So helpful. I have a bunch of vlogs. If you're interested in seeing what I do, it's where I sit down and set up my month, all of my planners, all of my goals, all of my homeschool planning, all of the things. Very, very helpful. I like this section a lot. Then you get into, all those things you've always wanted to do, you should go do them. And all good things start with one step, and you're moving into your January tab. It is a reinforced tab. It's this beautiful, bright pink color with the flowers on the other side. I love this. So now this is really interesting. In the past, this has been called the Prepare Well section, but now it is a monthly reset, and I really appreciate that because, as I just mentioned, I do a monthly reset every month, and I kind of go through some of these things. Important to-dos, goals to make progress on my calendar, important dates or events that are happening on my mind. And then they have a cultivated life evaluation check-in, which I think is really interesting. They have not done monthly check-ins for this in the past, at least not that I remember. No, they have not. Okay, so it gives you space to kind of write what the number is for the month, although this for January is going to be probably not as applicable since you're doing your evaluation in December. It's unlikely that any of these will have changed before you set up January because you haven't actually started your goals yet. But if they have this for every month, which they do, that is interesting. And again, each of the categories are color-coded, but you could easily white these out or put a sticker or some tending tape or something else here and write a new category, and it does give you the one blank category. Then you move into your monthly calendar. It has a Sunday start. It is completely blank, which is lovely. And so no holidays, which is why they give you this little holiday list at the beginning in the little pocket there. So then you have your blank calendar. I've never used these since they started implementing a monthly calendar in the PowerSheets. I know that a lot of people will use this as part of their planning, and they will put different time-bound things within the calendar for their goals. I use a lot of planners already, so I do not have a need for this section, but you could use it for anything. You could keep track of how many steps you've gone, how many miles you've run. You could do weigh-ins, you could do food that you've eaten, you could do how much reading you've done, or if you've checked in with your finances, or, there are so many different ways to use a monthly calendar. And because this is completely blank, you could obviously choose anything that you wanted. There is some note space on the side here. And then you are moving into a weekly rhythm ideas for the season. So this is really interesting. I'm interested to see how the rest of the planner goes because this is a new section. I love the idea of creating a weekly rhythm. I do this myself. It starts with Monday and goes through Sunday. It has 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. Again, in my membership community, I go through a whole time inventory. I have a whole workshop within my membership community about time inventories and creating a realistic ideal rhythm. And I say that because oftentimes, we do not estimate the time correctly. We either overestimate the amount of time things are going to take, or we underestimate the amount of time. I fall into the underestimate the amount of time category most often, but creating a rhythm idea I think is very valuable. I block schedule my days. I have so many different hats that I wear, and so for me, it's easier to time block and know, okay, during this section of my day, it's only going to be homeschooling. I'm not going to be trying to answer emails or get on a phone call or do X, Y, and Z. It's just for homeschool. And that's kind of how I treat my weekly rhythm. And then there is a note section. I love this page. I'm so excited that they have this. And I think that they have this in the season by season planner as well. I think that changing your rhythm seasonally is definitely important. Our rhythm changes seasonally depending on the weather. We are a four season state in Maine, 5 if we count mud season. But I do like to change up our rhythm. We focus on different things in different seasons, and this is going to be very helpful. Then you're getting into a break it down section. The smaller you can make your next step, the more likely you are to take it. I love this. It gives you space for 6 goals and then 6 steps underneath. I think this is really interesting, and I think this could be very helpful to break down your goals even farther. And then using this in coordination with this will be very helpful. So I would say that these sections are almost like my mini goal action plans. And then, so if I am taking a larger goal for the month or for the season, I will write down some of the bigger projects, which go over here. But then I'm breaking those down into smaller steps, and that is what I would break down over here. So I really, really, really like this section. Now, in past years, they have had a brainstorm your month, monthly ideas, weekly ideas, daily ideas, which they do not have here. I like this a lot better. I'm really happy with this. This is a great surprise. And it says, remember, it's okay to grow slow, pace yourself over the year, and your small consistent steps will add up. And then you move into your tending list for January, encouraging words, priority, monthly goals, and you have space for 10 monthly goals, 6 weekly action items or rhythms, and 7 daily action items or habits. And they do break up the month or the weeks. Again, there's a little bit of separation, and this is perforated, so you can take it out. I have never been one to take it out. I think there were maybe a few months over the years that I have taken it out and taped it into my life planner, but for the most part, I would just leave everything in the goal planner, because at the end of the year, I keep all of these. I pack them away because I do like to refer back to them and see the progress that I have made over the years. And then you move into your month in review, and it says gratitude, good things, goals that are growing well, what's not working, what I read or listened to, and favorite memories. I really like this section a lot, and it is very similar to past years. I'm glad that it's not shaded in this tan color, because I did not like that. I much prefer the white space with just the border color around it. And I like that the colors are back. It seems like Cultivate What Matters heard us say that we love the bright colors, and so I am super happy that they are back. Then you move into February, same with your monthly reset, your monthly calendar, break it down, and your tending list. I'm so pleased that they have this for every month. I think that's going to be very helpful. Your month in review. And then March. So I'm interested to see what the seasonal refresh looks like. Your refresh is here. It's behind the March tab before April. And then, so it has a quarterly refresh, your cultivated life evaluation, again with the different categories that are already color coded for you, and a blank category. Keep moving forward. Where have you seen the most growth? Which goals need more nourishment? What I'm saying no to this season, what I'm saying yes to this season. Routines reset. So again, you are going through the routines reset like you did at the beginning of January. And then you have a chance to write out your refreshed goals. So you can either continue with the goals that you already have, or you can write new goals. And it depends on how you write your goals for the year. If you have big overarching goals where you just want to continue making progress, maybe you keep the same goals, or maybe you have more detailed goals for this next season if you're more into 90-day goal setting. Then you're going to have this plan for the season ahead, goal and action ideas for the season ahead. I wish that this is the spot where they used to have, well, for 1 year in 2021, their seasonal refreshes had mini goal action plans. They had these goal action plans, these mini goals with starting steps. They had 2 on each page, and so they had 8 that you could go into for each season, and I really appreciated that because I do a lot of seasonal goal planning, and this is how I like to do it. If you've read the 12-week year, it's very similar to that, but they do still give you space to plan for the season ahead. It's blank on this side and then dot grid on this side, so you can kind of do the same thing, or you can print out these action plans from Goal School and tape them in. I have shrunk these down so that I can print them two to a page, but I think that they're a little bit larger when you print them out. Then you have another weekly rhythm ideas for the season, so you change up your rhythm if you want to. And then there is a green dot grid space. I don't know, you could maybe do another vision board or do some memories, print out some stickers. If you have like one of these little Polaroid zip printers, or HP has one, I think the Sprocket, and there's several different varieties. Then you move into April. It's very pretty with the flowers on the back. I love this color. It's one of my favorite colors. Again, your monthly reset, your life evaluation check-in, your monthly calendar, break it down for your goals. So this is definitely replacing this, and I think that this could probably work very, very well for me. And then you have your tending list. I'm not sure. I'm kind of up in the air. I was very sure that I was going to use a notebook again this year because I just like all of the space, especially for the prep work, but I really love this break it down section. I think this is going to be incredibly helpful as you're creating your tending list. It really makes you think about the small little steps to make progress on your goals. And I think that's really important. I think it's important to break down your goals into really bite-sized chunks. It does not have to be this huge step that you take within a month. It can be very, very narrow, very focused. And I think that having that space to do that is going to be very helpful. So then you are moving into June. Same thing, you have your beautiful color divider, and then your monthly calendar, well, your monthly reset, your monthly calendar, break it down page, and the tending list page, your month in review, and then you get to your summer refresh, and it has your quarterly refresh for the cultivated life evaluation. Keep moving forward. Where have you seen the most growth? Which goals need more nourishment? What I'm saying yes to, what I'm saying no to this season, what I'm saying yes to. I feel like yes should be up here and no should be down here. That's just a personal thing. But it is the same questions. In years past, some of the seasonal refreshes have offered different questions to consider and different ideas on things that you can do, like screen-free days or no spend months or whatnot. Routines reset, my refreshed goals. I forgot to mention that it does have my word of the season down here. So if there's a different word that you want to focus on, you can write that. Then plan for the season ahead, and then Weekly rhythm ideas, again, so you can change up your rhythm each season, and another colorful dot grid page for whatever you want to do. I think that this would be hard to write on. If I remember correctly, the pages that have shading on them are challenging to write on with different types of pens because it smudges, because the pages are so smooth, and so when it has that color over the top of it, it's just very slippery. So you might want to use like a ballpoint pen, just a basic ballpoint pen, instead of like a flare, or, you know, I use a micron pen, which I know would smudge, and some of like the Erin Condren pens I think would smudge as well. Then you're moving into July, and it goes through the exact same. It's the same layout each month, except for those quarterly refreshes every 3 months, and those quarterly refreshes are the exact same. I am very pleased with the PowerSheets this year. I think that they have made some amazing changes, and I think that they have incorporated some things that we've definitely been missing. Like this break it down section, I'm super pleased about. And I think that's going to be so helpful for people as they create their tending list. It just gives you a little bit more space to really think about what you want on your tending list. I think that's really important. Another refresh, again, this one is after September. Quarterly refresh, keep moving forward, routines reset, refreshed goal, word of the season, planning for the season ahead, weekly rhythm ideas for the season, and then your colorful dot grid spot for, I would say I would use this for pictures and like memory keeping. I think that's what I would do. You move into October, you have these beautiful divider pages. They repeat in colors January through June, and then July through December. Cultivated evaluation check-in. I like these little pops of color. It just gives you a little bit something more. I think that the lack of color in last year's PowerSheets was jarring to a lot of us who have used PowerSheets long term, because that has been one of the areas where it's been so different than other goal planners. They were always so bright and vibrant, but I do really like what they've done this year. So you move into November, same layout. And then you get to the last month of the year, which is a little bit different for me. I do not set up really any goals in December. It's always focused on family and setting up for the new year, but I do like that they have these sections still, and I know a lot of people do actually set goals for December. Your month in review, your dot grid page, and then you have 2024 year in review. And then it has a section to write something for every month, which I think is great. If you write something down at the end of each month, it's obviously more easier to do that way because it's fresh in your mind. And then it has favorite memory, best thing I read or listened to, best new habit, person I'm most grateful for, most memorable adventure, song on repeat, milestone celebrated, best meal or recipe, biggest change, most surprising goal progress, most beautiful sight I saw, best blank. And then that is the end of the 2024 PowerSheets. And I have to say that I absolutely love this purple cover. I wasn't sure because, like I said, I almost always get the green or bluish color that they have, but I didn't this year. I saw this purple and I really, really liked it. And I am just so pleased with the changes that they made this year. I still would like a little bit more space to write out ideas and such in the prep work, but that's most likely just me. I think that the changes that they have made, especially from last year, are so good. I love this break it down section. I think this is so valuable, especially having it monthly. I think that's awesome. I'm really excited to see how this works for me in the new year. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I know that this is going to be an incredibly long video, and I appreciate you guys sticking it out with me. If you were able to, let me know in the comments if you did. If you have any questions about anything that I talked about, please let me know in the comments, or you can email me. My contact form is always in the description box. Again, these are going to be released on October 4th, so if you're watching this video as it goes live, they will be available in another week, and it's really exciting. I'm so excited to see what people think of the PowerSheets this year. I'm really happy with them. So again, I want to thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.